Some people seem put off by working with numbers. I've had a lot of students say, well, I didn't want to work with Excel because I'm not very good with math. Well, the fact is that you don't have to have any real math skills at all to work with Excel. Excel is going to do most of the math for you. If you need to add up a column of numbers, all you have to do is give Excel the right command and Excel will add the column of numbers. So you really don't have to know much about math, but you do have to be able to tell Excel exactly what you want to do. If you'd like to follow along at home, go to your Project Files folder and open the Lesson 3 folder, and there open First Formulas. Now in this case, we want to add this first column of numbers. To do that, we're going to create a formula. Now don't get put off by the term formula, because formula can be anything. 1 plus 1 is a formula. And as it turns out, we're not going to be doing anything much more complicated than that right here. All you need to know at this point is that you have to start all formulas with an equal sign. Now from here, you can simply tell Excel the numbers that you want to add. And we're going to use Excel just like a handheld calculator. Just 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. So let's just type that in. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Now in order to get the formula to solve, we have to move off this cell. So we're going to hit Enter. That locks in the changes and solves the formula. So okay, let's say we want to go back now and change this 1. We'll put 100 in there. And what we want to have happen then is for our total in the yellow cell to change to reflect the fact that we're going to change this number. So we'll type in 100. Again, you have to hit Enter in order to make the change stick. And shazam, nothing. Nothing changed down there. Now this is the frustrating part. I typed in the formula. I told it that I wanted to add up this column of numbers. Well, just hold the phone here, bucko, because you didn't tell it you wanted to add up that column of numbers. What you told it was add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. And that's what it's still doing. If we get down here and click on the 10 and look in the formula bar, you can see that the original formula is still right there. And Excel is doing exactly what we told it to do. It's just not doing what we want it to do. All right, so in our minds, we were saying, add up that column of numbers. But in Excel's mind, it's just going 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. All right, so how do we get it to add the column instead of adding those numbers literally? Because if you leave the formula the way it is, it'll keep coming up with 10 until the world falls down. It's not going to change. Just because we change one of the numbers in the column, Excel isn't bound to change the formula, not the way we have it set up here. I mean, why should it? Why should Excel be paying attention to any of these numbers when we have over 1 billion cells on this worksheet? Why wouldn't it pay attention to one of those other billion cells, like how about here in cell I3 or down here in G7? Well, the fact is that until you link the cells that contain the numbers that you want to add in the formula, Excel is just not going to pay attention to them. So how do we do it? Well, it's actually pretty simple. We're going to go back and just overwrite this formula. Now, you don't have to delete the formula to rewrite it. All you have to do is click in the cell and hit equals, and that's it. We're ready to go. Now, what we're going to do this time, instead of just hardwiring the numbers into the formula, we're going to tell Excel to pay attention to the cells that we want it to add together. In other words, we want to say, Mr. Excel, take whatever you find in cell B2 plus whatever you find in cell B3, plus whatever you find in B4, plus whatever you find in B5. And the way we do that is we just put the names of the cells in the formula. And then Excel will take whatever value is in the cell at the time and use it. Now, we don't even have to type these in. In fact, I'm going to suggest that you never type in your formulas if you can help it. What we're going to do is just grab the mouse. We're going to click on this 100 here and see how it puts in the B2. Now, I'm watching the formula bar and the yellow cell. They should say the same thing at this point. Plus, then I'm going to click on the 2. Plus, click on the 3. Plus, click on the 4. Now notice I'm saying click on the 2, click on the 3, click on the 4. I'm not saying click on B3, click on B4, click on B5, because I don't care. I don't care what those names are. All I care is that I want to get that cell. Now when I hit enter, sure enough, there's 109. Okay, but is it really working? Well, let's change this 100 back to a 1 again and watch that yellow cell. Yeah, just like that. So I can change any of these numbers. And every time I change a number, since now Excel's paying attention to those numbers, it's going to update that formula. A second ago, I said that you shouldn't type in the formulas if you can help it. Use the mouse. Now, that's not true of all formulas. Later on, when we get into more advanced stuff, you're going to find it easier to type in formulas that use functions. But when it comes to just selecting cells, it's much faster to use the mouse, and you're not as prone to data entry errors. For example, if I had to type this formula in by going equals B2 plus B3, and then instead of hitting B4, we hit V4 instead, plus B5. Now that's a pretty common mistake because the V sits right next to the B on the keyboard. And because we're looking at the keyboard trying to make sure we type in the right stuff, we never notice that there's no colored box around cell B4 indicating that it's part of the formula. So we happily just hit enter and we think we have the right result. And unless we check our work, we don't know there's an error. So you're just going to be much happier with your formulas if you just use the mouse to select the cells rather than trying to type them in. Now let's say that we come back through here and we look at this and realize there's a mistake someplace. We can look in the formula bar and see that the V4 really doesn't belong there. Which one of these things is not like the other, boys and girls? Well, how do we fix it? We can just go into the formula bar, click, hit the backspace key, and type in a B. Hit enter, and all is right with the world. Let's do the next column. Equals this plus this plus this plus that. Once again, I'm not calling out the names of the cells because I don't care. All I care is that I want to get this number plus this number plus this number plus that number. I call that the this and that method. It's so much easier to think of it that way than it is to try to think in terms of cell names. All right, we're finished. This time I'm going to hit Tab. That's going to move the active cell to the right and finish my business in that cell and solve the formula. One more time for this last column, equals this plus this plus this plus that, enter. Now I know some of you have used Excel before and you go, oh man, I know there's a much easier way of doing the formula than typing it in like that. And you're absolutely right. We have the auto sum button, we have formula autocomplete, we have the insert function option. We got all kinds of ways to put formulas in. But for now, I just want to understand the concept that you have to name the cells in the formula instead of hardwiring the values in order to get things to work correctly.